and all wood, and just needs a little life brought back into it. So, like, this is pretty much the condition most things in the store come in. It's not something, these are vintage and antiques, so it's not something that's going to look like it came off of a showroom. If you get lucky enough, then that's good, but generally they need a little, but this is a really high quality piece of furniture that we're going to give it. So I'm going to tell you, some people will say, and you'll go to other stores and other lines, you can take the paint home, slap it on, I could just paint this right now and just be, and move on with my day. I'm a true believer, a little bit of prep goes a long way. And most importantly, cleaning your piece is just so important, because paint is not going to stick to something that has anything in the grooves or whatnot. I personally choose 90% of the time not to paint over hardware. So when it comes to the hardware, I like to take the hardware off. So we don't want, I don't want to have my back to everybody, but we are basically, it doesn't take long to take your hardware off. And I'll tell you a little trick on the hardware. Everybody always says, oh, like most of the hardware in my store is all original hardware. It's not hardware that has been replaced. So you have something like this, all you need to do is clean it. And we try to do everything as organically as we can. Boiling them in vinegar for 5 minutes and then still wool to clean them will bring them back to their original state. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Don't think that you have to necessarily. I like to keep the hardware because I like the hardware to be, it's part of the era that he's made. And the hardware is like the necklace that goes with that great dress, right? It's the finishing touch. So when I first get a piece, TSP is awesome. TSP is going to get all the degrease, the things that you can't see on here, it's going to clean. But I'm going to teach you a little trick. This is TSP. Our TSP is organic, which means it's phosphate free, which means you do not have to rinse it once you've cleaned it. Because phosphate being left on with other cleaning products, that will cause your paint not to stick. So basically, here's a trick I'm going to teach us. You have your TSP on there. Most people will clean it with a cloth. Well, I start by cleaning it with sandpaper because you're killing two birds with one stone. So just, and you'll see how fast. I'm not saying you have to sand everything off, unless of course you want to refinish it and stain it. That's different. But you've got your TSP on there. You've got your sandpaper going. So you are basically stuff sanding it and cleaning it all at the same time. So I want you to see the difference between that drawer and the drawer underneath. And I was 2 minutes doing it. It's not like it takes that much time to do it. And of course I close the drawer with it. I need a thinner. And then we dry it off. So this is basically what you're going to do with the whole piece of furniture. And then it's going to start to look better already before you even put any sort of paint on it. So basically your entire piece of furniture, this is what you want to do. You want to make sure it's clean. You can even feel it, that it's clean compared to here. So if you've got any sort of nicks and grooves in it, sometimes they're worth leaving because it just gives the piece personality. Remember, you're refinishing a piece that's been through many years, probably more years than we've been here. So you don't want to cover everything up, but sometimes you get a piece that scratch isn't supposed to be there. So we do have wood fill and putty knives, and you can definitely put that on, fill it in. So just make sure the piece feels good, it's clean, and any major grooves and stuff that shouldn't be there, take them out with some wood fill. All this stuff is going to make your piece look that much better when you're done. And the satisfaction of a complete piece at the end, I guess that's the reason I've been doing this for years, because it never gets old. So the color that's been chosen is called Putty. Putty is an awesome, actually creamy gray color. So it's very classic. So Now you'll notice as soon as I open the paint, you're not going to smell this. We have 0 VOCs in our paint. So the VOCs in our paint, it's chemical free, it's non-toxic. You're not going to, you can paint your living room basically and no one in the house is going to know that you're painting. So that's the beauty of this particular paint. Also, if you like this color and you decide to paint something, you don't have to do anything more than that because our paint already has a built-in top coat and it's already waterproof after its curing time. Every paint has a curing time, even the paint you put on your walls. So your paint, once you get past that curing time, your paint is waterproof. It is got a top coat already built into it, and you're good to go. Then we have waxes and different finishes to get a different look, maybe a different feel. And we do everything when we refinish pieces for people. Everything from, I call it a clean paint, to an old world vintage look. So the paint is extremely user-friendly. A little goes a long way. This pint of paint will give you 150 square feet of painting just from this. So now the way I paint, and everybody has their different styles, is I call it, I don't know if we have any bakers in the crowd, I put a crumb coat on it. So basically your crumb coat is something you don't want to just slap it on to the point where, see how you can slightly see through it? When you're slightly seeing through it, then you're doing it right. Because you don't want it thick. When the thicker you put your paint on, the more paint you have in your brush, the harder you are with your brush, that's how you're gonna get brush strokes. So big trick to eliminating brush strokes is by keeping a soft hand and not putting too much paint on. So now this drawer front is one thing, and a lot of people are comfortable doing drawer fronts, small spaces, small areas, and you know, it's pretty much, but when you start getting into tops and stuff like that, we sell these great kits here because this paint can be rolled. You don't be afraid to roll it, but keep in mind it's not like rolling on a wall. When you're painting a wall, you're trying to get as much paint on that wall as quickly as possible because who really wants to do 2 coats of paint on a wall? Nobody does. But with this paint here, when you're painting a piece of furniture, you basically want to keep the same concept in your mind as you do with your brush. You want to put enough paint that you're not going to get those roll marks, and you don't want to put too much paint so that you're going to get that thick, heavy look on your paint. Because your last coat, I can tell you the truth, is only going to be as good as your first coat. So if you want a nice finished look, I personally can't stand the term, oh, just slap some paint on it. Like, that's just not. It all depends on what you want it to look like. Old world finishes. Once this is dry, once your first coat is dry, I will actually sand. And in the kit as well, we have these awesome sandpapers that do not break down in water, and I can explain that later a bit more. And giving it a light sand between coats is what's going to make and you can feel it. If by chance you get some brush strokes, nothing to panic about, take whatever you're painting, spritz it with water. This has got TSP in it, but if you spritz it with just plain water and use the soft sanding sponges, and you'll see the paint, you just gently move it around. You'll see the paint starting to move, and then just take a damp cloth and wipe it off, and you can just keep doing that, and then your brush strokes will disappear because you're basically moving the paint around. Anything you want to change on a piece, you've got 21 days to do it. After 21 days, that paint's not going anywhere because that's the curing time. And it will stick to glass, plastic, metal. You can use it outside because it's UV resistant, it's waterproof. I mean, the sky's the limit on what you can actually paint with this paint. So that is definitely. Now, one other trick I'm going to teach you, because a lot of people, if you are painting this, and then I go, oh geez, couple minutes later, oh, I missed that, but don't ever go back. Because this paint dries so fast. If you go back, that's how you're gonna get imperfections in your paint job. That's how you're gonna get some more brush strokes, and it's a bit more difficult to get them out. But remember, when you wanna get brush strokes out, or it's not a perfect paint job, water and some soft, high grit sandpaper will do you wonders. And so this is, you can see through it, and that's basically what you want. You want to be able to see through the paint so that you can't, so then when you go on to your second coat, it is, I'm just going to open this. We actually sell these in the store, and these are kits that pretty much has everything that you need when you're actually doing a paint job. So you get a couple of your sandpapers, you get some applicator pads, a brush, your rollers. Always use microfiber rollers. Do not try the sponge. I promise you it will not work out well. So these are great, and a lot of times what I do is just because I have smaller hands, I actually cut them in half because I find them a little easier to work with when they're in half, and maybe it'll go a little bit further. So once your first coat is dry, I mean, this isn't major elbow grease. So that is, if you feel it, I'm not sure if you can tell by looking at it, how smooth it is. So when you start with your second coat, you'll see what a difference it makes. Like you're going, oh my God, that doesn't look really good. Like what am I doing with this dresser? As soon as you put your second coat on. As soon as you put the second coat on, and that's what you want to see. You want to see, that's when you're going to start getting coverage. Most of our paint, 2 coats. Okay, white, let's face it, it doesn't have a lot of pigment in it, so it's not going to cover as well as other colors. So you're probably going to be looking at 3 coats. Depending on what you're doing, would depend on how you have to, like if you're, okay, if I'm a kitchen, maybe a kitchen that's really dark wood and you guys want to change it to white. You can absolutely do that. You have to prep the piece the way I said, make sure it's really clean, TSP it, sand it, and then it doesn't hurt to do a primer. If it's a dark wood that might bleed, we also sell the cans of, it's a shellac base primer, and just, you don't necessarily have to do the whole thing. So say you had one spot of the drawer that was bleeding, you would just hit that one spot, let it dry, give it a little sand, and then start with your paint. The shellac-based, oil-based stuff, I'm not sure why, but the sprays I've always found they work 10 times better than even putting it on a roller or trying to put it with a paintbrush because it's a thicker paint. So then you're going to get brush strokes in. It can be a bit of a hassle. So I find the best thing to do is just have a spray can. You hit, because most times an entire piece will not bleed. It'll just be certain areas, whether it's been something that's spilt in over the years, maybe a heavier grain in one spot. Pine is a really good example. Knots on the pine, that kind of thing. So this is, but yeah, with this paint you can roll it. If anybody has any questions, you can just kind of throw your hand up and ask any questions at all.
Did you say it was waterproof?
It is waterproof after it cures.
After it cures?
It has a curing time. So once, you know when you freshly paint a room, a wall, and you put painter's tape on it, and then the paint comes off with painter's tape, that's because that paint never cured properly. So that's the thing. 21 days is the curing period that they say, and once your curing period is over, it's waterproof, it's UV resistant, everything. Yes, absolutely. Spraying, now legally I have to tell you, you gotta wear a mask and all that fun stuff. It is non-toxic, but nobody wants to breathe it in anyway. That's actually my spraying booth over there. So, I'm sorry? Water, but you don't have to, depending on the nozzle that you're using in your gun. You absolutely don't need to, and if you do, no more than 10%, because you'll start changing the whole dynamics of the paint after that. And because this paint is not, it's not like a chalk paint, so it's not super thick. And we sprayed, all of our kitchens are done with a professional sprayed finish, so that is definitely, but I've sprayed lots of different things depending on the look someone wants. I generally love to do everything by hand, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually did my entire kitchen by hand. So yes, you can put it in a spray gun. You can go in an electric gun or a compressor gun. I prefer the compressor guns, but that's just me because I think the guns are lighter. So the electric ones get kind of heavy because they hold so much paint at the bottom. What? 39. So yeah, you can definitely spray it. Just wear a mask, which we sell as well. We do sell the mask. I invested in one at Home Hardware because I do it all the time. So I have a mask that has filters on it, and we have an air purifier in there as well. But yeah, you can roll this paint, you can spray this paint, you can, and there's all different brushes. Now, one trick too. So this is like a cleaner idea of painting. So say you wanted an old world look. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but you ever see some of the magazines, something from like France or something that's really old and kind of beat up looking, there's texture in the paint. That's called old world vintage. So you would use a natural bristle brush because a natural bristle brush will put texture into your paint. These are synthetic bristles. Most of our Fusion line is synthetic, but we do have the natural as well. So depending on the look, that's when you talk to one of us so we can find out what's the best type of brush. But I always like the synthetic, and a lot of people have a good synthetic brush. People say, oh, how do I pick a brush? Pick your brush according to your piece. Size is important. You're not going to use a brush this big if you're doing a little thing. So I usually have 2 or 3 sizes going at the same time. But that being said, make sure it's comfortable in your hand. I like round brushes or oval brushes because of the way that I hold my paintbrush. But someone else might hold it differently. So the most important thing is how you hold. Make sure you have a comfortable brush that you're comfortable painting with. Because it doesn't matter, as long as it's synthetic and a good quality brush, you don't want bristles coming out all over the place. But other than that, and then take care of your brushes. So just so everybody knows, our Fusion line is 10% off today, excluding the packages. The 10% off is already reflected there. But everything in our paint area is 10% off. All of our furniture is 20% off. So now there's one more thing I want to talk to you guys about.
I think there's another question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I paint something and I figure I don't like the color,
Paint over. It's just paint. I tell everybody that. I'm so scared to do this. I don't want to ruin it. I'm like, it's just paint. I'm not gonna lie, I've been at this for almost 5 years. I have painted over my fair pieces because I've had a vision, I've done it, and went, yeah, it's not exactly working for me. So you paint it over. It is just paint, that's the beauty of Fusion. Now we do have some finishes that are not quite that simple. We have a tough coat, so even though our paint is waterproof, I do kitchens, I'll do tops of cabinets and whatnot. We have a product called Tough Coat, which gets put on with a sponge applicator. That way you get no fear of any brush strokes or anything. And it's just an additional durability. It's also waterproof, and it'll enhance the color a little bit. There's also some stain and finishing oils that can be used on wood, but can also be used over paint. And that'll lead me into the next thing I want to talk about. There's lots of different finishes you can use. My favorite is wax for the look and the feel. But wax doesn't do well in kitchens. It's water and wax don't really mix, so we don't do wax in kitchens. But we have workshops, so you can learn all of this stuff and more with one of our workshops. Now we've taken a different twist on our workshops. We're not going to ask people to be committing to a specific day, a specific time, and you're here for 3 hours and, oh, we don't have room for that dresser, so just bring the drawer, then you can go home and finish it yourself. We're actually offering you by workshop hours. So we have hours that are offered 7 days a week, and if you have a couple of hours to kill on an afternoon, all you have to do is get your piece here. We'll have all the tools for you to use, and all you have to purchase is what you want to finish your piece in, and you basically come in whenever you want to, and your hours just get punched off your card. And you get to work side by side with us, and we get to guide, teach, and help help you create.
What happens with the piece of furniture? Do they have to bring it home?
Nope, you get it here your first time coming in, and we actually have storage areas set up for everybody. So say you come in on a Wednesday afternoon, and then, oh, okay, I gotta go pick the kids up from school. Okay, I'll just punch, you were here for 2 hours. We punch your card 2 hours, and you get, and if you don't wanna take care of your own card, we do have a Rolodex to do that for you too. Because everybody loses cards, right? So we do have that. So basically our workshops are going to be daily, and you're not going to necessarily be in a crowd of 20 or 30 people. So it gives us the opportunity to really teach you what you want to learn. And you get to actually work side by side with us so you can see what we're doing, work with the products, and just make it a better experience. And that's this what I'm standing on actually here. Both of this whole area is our workshop area that will be set up daily for anybody. And there's going to be space back here for any big pieces that people bring in.
And these aprons,
Yes, we have aprons for you guys to wear, so we'll protect your clothes, although mine aren't generally protected too often. But we do have aprons for everybody to wear. We'll have some paintbrushes, some tools. And like I said, all you have to do is purchase your color that you want and your finish, whatever, and then we work with you. So the cards are sold 5 hours at a time, so we charge $15 an hour. So each card is $75. But today and today only, for the next few hours, you buy 5, you get 5 free.
Oh, wow.
So buy 1 card, get another card free. And if you don't have a piece of furniture, we can also help you there because we sell as is as well. And do keep in mind, if it's not something that you want to take on yourself, we do commission pieces. We do everything from dressers to sideboards to full-out kitchens, dining rooms, bedrooms, and we also do on-site work too. Like staircases, you can't really pull those out. But,
and how do you have to, so if someone wants to do a kitchen, I know a lot of places charge, what's it called, the consult fee or something?
yes, no, for any big rooms, like if you're doing an entire dining room set or a bedroom set or a kitchen, part of our service, we do not charge for it, so I highly recommend people taking advantage of it, is we do on-site consultations, color consults, quotes, because I'll tell you, you'll come in and say, oh, that's going to be the perfect color. Your lighting in your house is not the same as it is in my store. So you definitely want to be checking these colors out. Aside from that, if it's just one piece and you're not sure of the color, maybe you want to do it yourself. We do have color blocks that you can borrow to check the color out in your own lighting. But we do the consultations for free. We do not charge for that service. So if you are looking at a big project and having us do it for you, then you definitely take advantage of that, because the last thing you want is to decide on a color for a big room and then you have to look at it every day and it's not exactly what you wanted. So we highly, highly recommend let's get the color right. Although you can paint over it, you probably don't want to. And did everybody fill out a ballot? Because we have some giveaways and I'm going to be doing them very soon. So make sure everybody has a ballot in the box so that I can give some stuff away.
I've got a question about buying paint. So do I have to come here to get paint, or,
We have been recently approved for online sales. So we are online and we're just in the midst of getting all of that organized. So yes, you can order online if you're in the area and you even want to call us or go online and put the order in and pick it up here, you can do that as well. And we can deliver, we do our deliveries through Canada Post. So yes, you can get us online, and we're on almost every social platform out there. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we have a website, we are Shopify. So we are, and I'm sure there's more to come in the future.
oh yes.
Yeah, that's,
Any other questions? Or?
yeah, anybody have any questions? Shout it out. So yeah, there's lots of different techniques that you can teach, but it all depends on the piece and the vision. So that's why these workshops that are coming up are going to be quite huge. for us because we have the opportunity to have that one-on-one time with people. And you might get a few people here at the same time, but you're not walking into a room with like 20 or 30 people. So definitely come to consider.